Ladies and gentlemen, I always see people talking about the fact that Apple has kind of lost its spark. It's trading right now around 200, so it's not at its quite all-time highs in general. And I think a lot of that sentiment has come from the fact that, like I mentioned, a lot of people are talking about Apple losing its spark between things like Apple Intelligence being a blunder, the rules in the EU, and all of that stuff. And really, the biggest thing is that everything's just been stagnant. The releases are iterative. The releases aren't anything really to write home about, as the cool people say. And sorry, I have low battery on my thing, so if you hear the beeping, it's the alarm, whatever. Anyway, I beg to differ. I honestly think Apple is in a really good spot. And just because people's ADHD brains want the best every single time doesn't mean they're not innovating. I'm not an Apple sheep or fanboy where I praise every single decision they've made. I think they've made some horrible decisions this year and just as of late in general. However, we can't forget about the things that Apple is still heavily innovating in. One of those big things for me is Apple's M series chips. I know that was 4 years ago, so I know this isn't something that's brand new, but a lot of people forget how monumental of a shift that was in computing and PC computing in general, and just in the PC market overall. The switch to M1 and the move from Intel was such a big leap forward in computing that it's not even funny. It blew Intel PCs out of the water, and it made other manufacturers like Microsoft or even Dell or any of the others think about building a system on a chip just like Apple did. That's because their chips were so good that really it did feel like, honestly, it was up there with me as one of the biggest innovations that Apple had ever made. I'm using an M3 right now to record at least the audio for this video and edit it for sure. But not only that, just in general, it's been such a leap forward for computing. Look at the MacBook Air and look at how much power is in that thing. Quite frankly, you don't need a pro to do high quality video editing work or graphics rendering or anything like that, because these chips are so good. I think that's a clear sign that Apple is ahead in at least something. It's hard to ignore that for sure. But it's not only that, it's things as well like the Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Vision Pro has been an incredible thing in the market. Yes, it doesn't have a need at the moment. Its users haven't been really clearly identified for sure. I know it works good in enterprise, but $3,500 for a headset is completely insane. So no one's going to buy that Generation 1 product, but it doesn't matter. The technology in there is so good, and I do think it is going to push this next generation of spatial computing forward. And obviously, this is something that hasn't really been realized in the industry yet. Time will tell. We'll see where that goes. But I do think it's a sign that Apple is still innovating. I think another sign that Apple's still innovating is on the software front. Not Apple Intelligence exactly, but all of its other platforms. iOS 26, iPadOS 26, I almost said 19. They've both been really huge changes, as well as that which came to the Mac and all of that stuff and all of those, the theme changes. This beeping is distracting me too, so I'm very sorry this just happened. But those software changes are proof that they are still committed to innovating and doing things. While, yeah, some people could see that as change for the sake of change, I see it as pushing the next, decade of technology. And overall, I think that can be said with their platforms. People always overlook something like the iPad Pro M4. That's a computer in tablet form. That is the best, I think it's Apple's best product, at least in the last few years, personally, because I love iPads. I think it's an insanely powerful iPad with really good rendering speeds and all of that stuff as well. And the changes they made to the keyboard and the trackpad, the Magic Keyboard, all of that stuff, just really blow it out of the park. There's nothing like it. And yeah, okay, these are iterative changes to things like the iPad or even the iPhones. Like the camera control button sucks. Like who's going to use that and all of that stuff? But at least they're doing these things. And yeah, it's not the next the one more thing that we've gotten before, but it's something. And I think it's a good something, to be honest. The M series chips are the biggest thing to me, but there's still a lot that Apple is doing and continuing to do. And while people think they're slowing down or all that, they are still like the most valuable company on the planet, and that's for good reason, because even though there's some surface level bumps that we have to work out, or that the company themselves have to work out, their products, their services, and their business overall are still dominating, and they're so strong, especially like the AirPods business alone, whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. It's been something that's been on my mind. And by the way, for the 8 of you that subscribed for my first video, thank you so much. I'm going to be doing more Apple content on the channel, so definitely look out for that. And hopefully that was crazy timing, but hopefully that will be fixed by the time I make another video. So yeah, with all that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video, and until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.